Good afternoon, scrappers. So today I'm going to take apart this dryer which I got from my brother. I've already, excuse me going across the camera, got this big pile of plastic which we always end up with. There's various filters and trays and things. I'll save a bit of time by taking all that off. So I've already saved all that from landfill, and I've got a little pile of screws and brackets and things there. So got the cable on there still, so we can take that off. There's only a couple of screws there. So there's just one thing here holding the wires on, so that just pulls straight out, and that's the cable. Some more cable in here, another piece there. I'll take the back off, and then we can see the drum in there and what else is inside to take out. So this middle piece, I think, is holding on the drum, and there's a Torx screw on there, because I always like to put different ones in, and then there's a little clip on there which quite possibly easily come off with some pliers. There we go. Pull those up. Might be brass. Yeah, I think they are. Of course they're covered in grease and I haven't got my gloves on. Yeah, a couple of nice pieces of brass there. I can get that camera on that. Hoping that will just come off. Oh no, because it's screwed on there, as always. A couple more screws. I won't bore you through me taking the screws off. Oh, that's good. I've gone further than I thought with taking screws and things, and they just delightfully fall off. But that one doesn't. There we go. There's a couple of plastic clips. We'll take bits of plastic, and there's some foam there. So I'll get that. I'll scrape that off as well before I weigh it in. I like everything to be clean when I take it to be weighed in. And then the yard get to know that, and then they may well give you a better price if it's all completely clean. Some more cable in there. Let's have a look. So we've got some brass there. And that's nothing, so we want that. Tight in there. Ping. How careful you are. Things ping off in all directions when I'm doing this. So we've got a switch there, which will have some copper, and you can see the brass on there. There we go. I think there may well be some copper inside there. So we'll check that later. All the rest goes in the plastic pile, the ever-growing plastic pile. It's going to come off nice and easily. Let's cut that. And we have one nice big drum, which I've checked already and is, sadly, it's steel. And there's a couple of screws here and here, and you can take out these plastic pieces. So we'll sort that out later. Get rid of that. So this is a condenser one, and how closely you can see there. Undo that. There we go. Cable tie in there. Right. We'll zoom in on this. So, I turned it round, and as you can see, there's a whole load of cable here. Which, some of it is all fixed on with cable ties. We'll cut through them. Try not to cut the cables. Not that it matters, but with these scissors, which I found whilst litter picking, and they're brilliant. They look like carpet shears, which I have some for work, but they're pretty good. I'm quite pleased to see some copper in there because, as we all know, copper prices have gone bananas lately, which can only be good. Pull these last bits and I'll cut those. There's a nice big pile of cable. Might be able to strip some of that, but not very much. Chuck that in the drum. Now we've got a circuit board in here. So I've never taken one of these apart before, so bear with. Plastic never breaks when you want it to. There we go. Bit of brute force. It's the best way. Some people like to just smack it with a hammer, but you know. There we go. Right. Let's have a look at this board. More plastic. There's an awful lot of plastic in this. Oh, we've got a transformer. And there's a tiny bit of gold flashing on there. Tiny bit. That's about it. Not a lot. A few MLCCs, a couple of IC chips, but yeah, not a lot. What's next? We'll see if we can get this off. There's 3 bolts there, so I'll just whip those off. So I've also got to take off this plastic covering to get this out, so I'll do that. So that's the screws undone, and look what we have. Apart from a whole load of dust. That's no good for man or beast, I don't think. That. We'll take that off later. That's held on with about 10 screws. That can come out, hopefully. Wow, that's heavy. Got a couple of rads on there. And then this, which is really quite heavy. Not sure what's in it, but may have to take it apart and have a look, checking to see if it's safe or not first. But yeah, there's some weight there. That must weigh nearly, that's got to be 6 or 7 kilos, that. Get these bolts and washers out of there. There's not a whole lot left. Spring has sprung. Well, that lift out there. More screws to undo. Weigh in at the end and see what we've got. Okay. That's another way to do it. And what we got in there? Oh, it looks like there's some more copper hiding in the back of this, so let's get rid of that plastic. Brute force is winning the day. I'll take that apart and then so I can see copper inside there, if you can see it. But we'll have a look. I've just knocked that apart and look at that. I've never had one of these before. Quite lovely copper. Nice. And there's a circuit board inside there, so I'll have to work out how to prise that apart. This lovely piece of steel. There's not a lot left now. There's a small fan there which will have a motor in it. That's all plastic on the base or not. Yeah, I'll take this bit off. Spin that. Yeah, there's some screws across the bottom there. So we'll undo those. And that fan was held in with two screws or bolts. Got a bottom plate, nice steel plate. That is that plastic? Could be metal. That's aluminium surround, and that'll have a motor in there, so that's cool. And I think all this is plastic. It is. Wow, there's some serious plastic on this. Yeah, wow. And all I've got left is this door. So I prefer these to washing machines any day. If you haven't got the weight, you haven't got big concrete slabs inside them to hold them down. But it's not actually taken me long to do this, and there seems to be a fair bit of copper inside. A couple of circuit boards. Lots more plastic. Start my own plastic factory. It's probably a bit of a rubbish board, this one, with just switches on it. Got to start getting through some of my bits and pieces now, because I'm going to be selling the house soon, so I've got to try and make it tidy at least. And I'll be moving in with my lovely lady, who's very supportive. Yeah, it's just pretty much just switches on there. Not much of a board, but oh, there's a couple of bits underneath the LED there. Just some ribbon wire. We might have some gold on it. And then we're just left with the door. Even that's plastic. A few Torx bolts, so we'll undo that. So in part of the door, there's these big steel bolts that these wheels go on, and they're very easy to get out. Just get a hammer, and out they come. So don't leave them in. More plastic. And the last bit is the door, which you unscrew. Let's lift that up. There's screws around the edge. You just undo those, and then you can get the plastic off. And then you get this metal outside piece and the big hinge there. And then all I've got are four Torx bolts left, and that will take this piece of plastic off, and then we'll see what we've got. You have to remember to take off the door mechanism, because inside there you've got some more brass and copper in the switch there. So let's have a look at what we got. Oh, that'll be easier. We have the cable. I've got the plug on there still, but there's half a kilo of cable there. Got the aluminium off the, I guess some sort of compressor or the condenser. We've got 1.75 kilos of aluminium, which is nice. And copper motors, that, oh, I love that. That's an absolute beauty. Then we had this inside the fan. Oh, don't want to throw that away. Obviously there's some steel on there, but it goes motors. Other bits of copper off that. So it's just over a kilo there, so it's maybe 700 grams of copper, which is nice. This motor, which is going to send my scales absolutely bananas. Yeah, that's well over 5 kilos. I'm guessing that is similar to a fridge freezer motor, so I may well cut that open and see what's inside, because hopefully there'll be some copper in there. Got the nice circuit boards. There's an aluminium heatsink on there. Not much else. This one has got some gold flashing around the edges. and there's some silver contacts on there, and there's a couple of other boards with not a great deal on. And then I shall just weigh the steel. Well, this fancy little thing weighs 8 kilos just on its own, and the steel came in at 16 kilos, and we've got a big old handful of screws, washers, bolts, springs, all the little bits that you undo. Let's chuck them in there. Excuse me, getting in front of the camera again. And I've got these few bits and pieces to undo. There's a couple of switches there which have got copper and brass. There's a bit of brass through the middle of this, and I might just knock those out of there. Something else to take up my time. And then all I've got for landfill is these. So, must show you the mountain of plastic. We have there the plastic. There's a huge amount of plastic, and there's the steel, 16 kilos. So I think it's worth doing if you can get rid of your plastic. There's a fair bit of copper in there, some nice aluminium, and a kind of compressor motor, a couple of circuit boards. Yeah, that's all very good. Well, thanks for watching. If you made it to the end, well done. I try to make them interested, I'm not sure if they are. But I enjoy doing it. Like and subscribe would be great. I need more subscribers. And share. So, catch you in the next one. Keep scrapping.